In the Company of Charity is a podcast by the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. Each episode will be discussing the church, society, and service to others, all through the lens of the spirit we received from St. Vincent de Paul, the Saint of Charity. Join in the conversation by sending your comments and questions to companyofcharity@gmail.com.
All right, so welcome everyone. This is Sister Elizabeth, and I am in the company of Sister Liz Sjoberg, my companion on the podcast. How are you doing today, Sister Liz?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for asking. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, it's good to have you, and it's good to be in another installment of Sounds from the Motherhouse. These have been really I think amazing episodes. It's as I've said in other intros, it's been fun to do. It was fun to do these interviews, and to hear them back again and to have them pieced together. It really, for me, kind of brings back those days when we were in the mother house.
Yes.
And today, we're going to hear an interview that you did with Father Bernard, who is the Director General for the Daughters of Charity. And some of you will say, well, what exactly is that? Right? So
do tell, sister, what is that?
Well, Father Bernard takes kind of a role of being that connection between the Daughters of Charity and the Congregation of the Mission. His role specifically, as stated in our constitutions.
Don't read the whole thing, please don't.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. While he even said yes to the position, sometimes, in documents, it can sound pretty boring. But basically it says that he accompanies the sisters, and that means all of us, all 16,000 of us around the world. And he encourages them to be faithful in living their vocation. Pretty simple. He has a lot of other technical things he has to do, but he is the one who has been appointed by the Superior General to help to guide the sisters to live the charism well. And what it reminds me is that, the charism of St. Vincent de Paul is so widespread. The family of St. Vincent is so big, and it has so many different lifestyles and so many different ways of living. The St. Vincent de Paul Society, Miraculous Medal, the Daughters of Charity, the Congregation of the Mission, so many different layers. We could be here all day talking about them. But that this relationship between the Congregation of the Mission, the confreres, the priests of St. Vincent de Paul, and the Daughters of Charity, founded by St. Vincent de Paul along with St. Louise, we just have a brotherly, sisterly relationship that just is not something that you see in most other communities. It's very, very close. So, long way into this interview is with Father Bernard, who is in that role as the one who accompanies the Daughters of Charity and really helps to animate the community and helps animate us along with the Superioress General and her council at this level that seems kind of distant maybe, and yet is, I think, a very, very intimate connection with all of the sisters. It's remarkable to have somebody in that position. So I'm going to stop talking for a minute. I want you to tell us a little bit about what this interview was like for you, and certainly talk to us about the fact that Father Bernard only speaks French.
Yes, he understands a great deal of English and actually speaks some English, and he just felt a little bit more comfortable, obviously, in the French. I actually met Father Bernard 2 years ago when I did the Vincentian session, which is like a month long of formation and pilgrimage and things like that. And so we, people who are not in Paris or in Europe, know him primarily through his writings. And then I, had the privilege of being around when he would give homilies at Mass and some different talks at the Vincentian session. And I think what's striking about him is his simplicity and his ability to communicate in a way that really can hit all different cultures. And so in this interview, he, with the help of Sister Judith Mauser, who's our translator over there, she's able to translate into English from his French. And we actually made the choice to leave the interview as is rather than overlaying the English over the French. Number one, because French is just beautiful. It's such a beautiful
It is
language.
beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful. Yeah.
So for all the French speaking folks, listeners out there, you'll get to hear some of that. But it really highlights for me the brother-sisterly relationship and how strong he is about making sure that our charism is lived out in an authentic and radical way. And so that's the gift right there. And we just hope that people are blessed by this interview and all the things that he has to say about being in Paris, being at the Motherhouse where the Blessed Virgin appeared to St. Catherine Labouré, and just in that sacred space, which, those of us on the other side of the pond, we're all kind of jealous that they get to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's going to really enjoy this one. And again, those who speak French will see that Sister Judith is an amazing interpreter. And again, don't forget, hang on, because after the interview will be another sound from the Motherhouse, another piece of evening prayer, as it is sung in the Motherhouse each evening.
Father Bernard, we welcome you to the podcast, and we have Sister Judith Mauser, who's with us, who is a translator and an American. So we thank you for joining us today. And we are very excited to have you on this episode of the podcast. So welcome.
Bonjour mes sœurs. Voilà, je suis donc le directeur général des Filles de la Charité depuis 2014. C'est le père Patrick Griffin qui m'a initié pour faire les premiers pas dans ce rôle, dans cet accompagnement des Filles de la Charité.
Hello, sisters. I'm Father Bernard. I am the Director General. I have been since 2014. It's Father Patrick Griffin who initiated me into this role.
Before you became the Director General, what was your background, your ministry? What kinds of things were you doing before they asked you to do this?
Alors quand j'ai commencé le ministère, j'ai commencé dans le diocèse d'Amiens, là où il y a Folleville, et j'ai été dans un secteur rural pendant 9 années.
When I began my ministry, I was in the Diocese of Amiens. That is a diocese that includes the town of Folleville. I was assigned to a rural district and worked in ministry in that.
Puis après, je suis arrivé
for 9 years.
Je suis arrivé à Paris et j'ai commencé à l'animation de la chapelle et à la formation des séminaristes pendant 6 ans.
I then came to Paris. I worked in the pastoral ministry of the Chapel of the Miraculous Medal, as well as in formation for 6 years.
Et puis après, j'ai été pendant 10 ans, donc jusqu'en 2014, le supérieur de la maison mère au 95 rue de Sèvres.
And then for 10 years, so up until the time that I received the position of Director General, I was the superior of the Motherhouse at 95 rue de Sèvres.
Which is the Vincentians' Motherhouse here in Paris.
Oui.
Many people who listen maybe don't know some of those things, which we'll get to. But I'm interested to hear from you. What is it like to say Mass and to be in this area where the Blessed Mother appeared? It's just very sacred to us, and it's such a gift for those of us who come to visit. I'm interested what your experience is that you get to be around here every day, almost.
Je pense que pour moi, c'est une grâce de pouvoir travailler ici. Parce que j'ai une expérience personnelle dans ma famille. Mes parents, quand ils ont fait leur voyage de noces, ils sont venus dans cette chapelle et ils ont confié à Marie, si l'un de leurs enfants veut devenir prêtre, eh bien qu'il en soit ainsi. Donc pour moi, quand ils m'ont raconté ça, lorsque je relis maintenant mon chemin, je me dis c'est vraiment le Seigneur, la grâce du Seigneur qui m'a accompagné toujours.
For me, it's a real grace to be able to work here, in particular because I have a personal experience. My parents, when they were married and they took their honeymoon, they came here to the chapel at Rue de Bac, and they entrusted to the Blessed Virgin Mary if perhaps one of their children might become a priest, that they would entrust him to her. And so as I look back on my life, and having heard that from my parents, I really see the work of grace.
What an amazing story. That's
Et après, il y a
incredible.
l'expérience d'avoir travaillé avec les pèlerins pendant plus de 6 ans. Et ça a été quelque chose de très beau. Par exemple, confesser tous les jours, animer le chapelet, présider l'Eucharistie. On rencontre un peuple qui vient ici, et c'est sûrement l'une des seules chapelles où lorsqu'on dit « Allez dans la paix du Christ », les gens viennent au pied de l'autel, ils ne partent pas, ils viennent prier.
I also had the wonderful experience of working here for 6 years more with the pilgrims, and the experience of hearing confessions every day, leading the rosary, celebrating Mass, and just the pilgrims who come. It's really amazing. It's probably one of the very few places when you say, the Mass has ended, go in peace, they come to the foot of the altar. It's such a rare and special thing.
Amazing. That's really beautiful, really beautiful. And so, one of the things that, from my understanding, that is your role, is to inspire or help the sisters in their understanding of our spirit and our charism. So how do you see the connection between the sisters and the confreres, the Congregation of the Mission? How do you try to help inspire both to live our spirit in a way that's authentic and real for this world?
Je pense que dans la congrégation de la mission, beaucoup de confrères sont au service vraiment des sœurs, des filles de la charité. Et le rôle est bien redéfini pour le directeur. Le directeur est un accompagnateur qui participe à l'animation, à la formation, qui participe à des visites, parfois avec la supérieure générale, avec une conseillère, et cela donne vraiment un dynamisme. Le directeur n'est plus dans le gouvernement, mais il est dans l'accompagnement. Et je trouve que cela lui donne une grande liberté et lui donne la capacité d'écouter, de conseiller et parfois de se taire, de dire « c'est l'œuvre du Seigneur, c'est pas mon œuvre, c'est la vocation des sœurs, c'est à elles de grandir dans cette vocation ».
I think that in the Congregation of the Mission, many confreres really are at the service of the sisters. The role of the director has been redefined. The director is someone who accompanies, who participates in animation, formation, who participates in visits, sometimes with the Superioress General or with a general counselor. And this really is an energizing force. The director is no longer involved in government, but in accompaniment. I find that this gives him great freedom and the ability to listen, advise, sometimes to keep silent and say, "This is the Lord's work. It's not my work. It's the sisters' vocation. And it is up to them to grow in that vocation."
Pour donner un exemple concret que nous venons de vivre, dimanche dernier, Sœur Judith et moi-même, nous avons réuni les sœurs de moins de 15 ans de vocation.
So to give a very concrete example, just this past Sunday, Sister Judith and I brought together the sisters of under 15 years vocation of the quasi-province.
Alors d'abord, ce qui m'a frappé dans ce groupe, il n'y avait pas une Française.
What first really strikes me about this group, there wasn't a single French sister in it.
Il y avait 4 Vietnamiennes,
There were 4 Vietnamese,
une Albanaise,
one from Albania,
une Polonaise
a Polish sister,
et une Brésilienne.
and a Brazilian.
Et nous avions préparé ensemble d'abord cette journée, et après nous l'avons animée chacun dans notre rôle, et je pense que ça c'est une belle participation entre filles de la charité et confrères de la congrégation.
So together we prepared for this day, and then we played our particular role of animation, of leading this day according to our role. And I think it's a really good example of collaboration and sharing between a daughter of charity and a priest of the congregation of the mission.
What do you see, because you said you go on visits and then there are many that come here from all over the world, and that's just such a gift that we have an international community. What do you see as the major issues in the world today that are facing us that we have to face?
Je pense il y a plusieurs défis sûrement. Il y a un défi, il faut accompagner ce qui existe au niveau des personnes et au niveau des œuvres.
There are a number of challenges. First, you need to accompany things as they are, both in terms of people and the works.
Parce que tout est en train de se transformer, non pas seulement chez les filles de la charité, dans l'Église et dans la vie consacrée.
Because things are really in rapid evolution, not just with Daughters of Charity, but in the church and in consecrated life in general.
Et sûrement l'un des grands défis, c'est d'accompagner en gardant l'espérance et ne pas dire on a fermé telle maison, on a moins de sœurs, sinon on pourrait être dans la désespérance.
And I think it's very important to always accompany with a spirit of hope, because otherwise we could focus on, oh, we've closed this house or this community, we only have so many sisters, and it's very easy to fall into despair.
Ce qui est certain, c'est que les sœurs ne rentrent pas dans la compagnie pour gérer des bâtiments. Elles veulent vraiment être au service des plus pauvres.
Clearly, women do not enter the company in order to administer buildings. Really, they enter the company in order to be at the most direct and close service of those who are poor.
Alors il y a un autre défi, c'est sûrement comment mieux vivre le lien avec toute la famille vincentienne. Comment vivre ce charisme en se disant, nous avons notre partition à jouer. Nous ne sommes pas toute la famille vincentienne, mais les filles de la charité participent beaucoup à cette animation.
Another major challenge is living well our role within the Vincentian family, saying that the Daughters of Charity are not all of the Vincentian family. We have our part in this great musical score of the Vincentian family, but we're not everything. And really, the Daughters of Charity do play a very positive role in this collaboration within the Vincentian family.
Et puis le défi actuel, c'est, d'après moi, bien écouter les jeunes sœurs qui sont issues du monde du digital, le numérique et tout cela. C'est une nouvelle manière de vivre, sûrement une nouvelle manière de chercher des solutions pour mieux servir.
And then I think another challenge is to listen well to the younger sisters who come from a world that is the digital world, communications world, and it's really quite different, but also can offer a lot of different ways and new ways to seek new solutions, particularly to better serve those who are poor.
Mais le défi pour toute fille de la charité, comme pour tout prêtre ou frère de la mission, c'est d'être heureux dans sa vocation.
But the great challenge for every daughter of charity, just as for every brother or priest of the congregation of the mission, is to be happy in his or her vocation.
Parce que le monde changera toujours.
Because the world will always be changing.
Mais notre intériorité, elle peut grandir là-dedans. Si Jésus règne vraiment en nos cœurs, alors nous pourrons rejoindre et rencontrer ce monde. Mais ce qui est certain, c'est que le monde changera toujours, ça vous l'avez dit, mais nous, dans notre vie intérieure, le Christ grandira toujours. Nous aussi, on se transforme, mais dans l'aspect d'une vocation qui devient belle et qui est ouverte au monde.
But within this, our inner life can grow. If Jesus truly reigns in our lives, we can reach out to and connect with this world.
Yeah. And you know, I've thought about this a lot of how our life is different than someone who simply volunteer they don't need to be a sister because they can do good works outside of community, right? And so, you know, that helps me to remember that we have something unique to offer the world. And I would imagine you would agree that both of our lives, the Daughters of Charity and the Vincentians, have something unique, a unique gift to offer the world that is still relevant today. And so, you know, we could talk all day, of course, but before we end, I definitely want to thank you because all the sisters throughout the world read the things that you put together for us and that you write, your thoughts and those reflections that come from your heart. And I think it is such a gift to us. And so we thank you for that. Any closing thoughts or something that you would say to a young person who's perhaps thinking, what does God want for me in my life? What would you say to encourage them to not despair, but to have hope?
Eh bien, je dirais d'abord de s'accepter soi-même, de s'accueillir comme elle est, cette personne, et de rejoindre d'autres personnes qui déjà se donnent. Ne pas trop réfléchir, mais agir, entrer dans une action avec d'autres. Parce que tant qu'on réfléchit le monde, on peut réfléchir beaucoup. On a des analyses sociologiques, psychologiques, philosophiques. Mais je crois qu'il faut rejoindre d'autres qui se donnent. Et c'est là qu'on trouve en fin de compte l'espérance et l'amour.
First of all, the person should accept herself, really welcome herself as she is, and then join with others who are already giving of themselves. Because you can spend a lot of time just analyzing a situation or thinking about it in the abstract, and you can do that all day, all your life. With socio-political, psychological analysis, but that's not really going to get us anywhere. Rather, if we join with others who are already giving themselves, then that's where that hope, as well as direction for life, is going to be found.
I think that's a wonderful way to end. I want to say thank you to Sister Judith for being here, to you, Father Bernard, for taking your time. This is a graced moment for me, and I think for our listeners, because it takes a lot to do something like this. But I think that, and I hope that everyone hears the goodwill and love that we share because of our spirit. So thank you very much.
And now it's time for your Vincentian Pulse. This has been In the Company of Charity podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.